Right, already on TGA Foundations 3 for the Guardian Academy. Now, this is called the Rocky Road. Okay, the Rocky Road from Action to Intention. This is a dissertation written in 1990 by Elizabeth Louise Newton. Okay, now I can't share this resource for many reasons. It's not supposed to share it publicly. If you can find it, please look for it, search it. It's somewhere on Google. It's somewhere in the Stanford Library, various libraries. University of Michigan has it. I know that. That's where I scanned my copy. So Rocky Road from Action to Intention. And the concept in the Guardian Academy is the Rocky Road. So you're going to hear two things over and over. You're going to hear Rocky Road, and you're going to hear tap, tap, tap. Okay? What we're referring to comes from the Rocky Road from Action to Intention. Okay? So it's tap, tap, tap because the keystone study in this dissertation is she got people that were very close together, spouses, best friends, siblings, etc., etc. It said, hey, I'm going to sit you guys at a table and you're going to tap your favorite song, right? I was just tapping. I don't know if you heard that. You're going to tap your favorite song. What do you think the probability that this person that you know very, very well is going to be able to guess what that song is? And they guessed between 50 and 60% of the time that the person across from them would be able to guess what the song was. And then they did the exercise. Right? They tap, 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 tap. Afterwards, she said, okay, now that you've done it and you saw their response, what do you think the probability that they're going to guess the song was? And they guessed a little bit lower, closer to 35 or 40% probability, right? They guessed the song correctly about 1.5 to 2% of the time. Okay? So there's a few things that we could take away from that. One, we grossly overestimate our ability to communicate from the get-go. Okay? Even more concerning is that after the fact, we overestimate how effectively we have communicated. So we communicated, we saw their response, we saw them nodding their head, we saw their body language, and we still grossly overestimate how effectively we've actually communicated what we're trying to communicate. And the big reason why is because in our head we have what in music is the accompaniments. We have the instrumentals, the beat, all that stuff. This is a base knowledge disconnect. So when we're talking about things like crypto, finance, whatever we're interested in, we have a base knowledge. Those are the accompaniments in our head. That's our experiences, the things that we already know that we take for granted that's going on in our head that the other person does not necessarily have. Okay, so we have the accompaniments that makes our tapping sound like sweet music to us and a whole bunch of nothing to somebody else. That's true with all communication. All right, so the point is, we may think we're good communicators, and we may think that we have communicated well. We might read what we wrote and say, yeah, I feel like I said that really well. But we have to understand that we may be missing accompaniments that they have, and they may be missing accompaniments that we have. More often than not, we call this context. Okay? So they may be missing context. We may be missing context. Both are equally probable. It's not you versus them or anything like that. It's just that there are instrumentals missing. Okay? And that context is very, very important. In fact, it makes all the difference to what is actually being communicated. Okay? So we must strive to assume, or not to assume, that the others have the same base knowledge, the same accompaniments in their head, unless it has been explicitly stated. So for example, you might say, okay, if you have a PhD in chemistry, then XYZ. And we can assume that through getting that PhD, they have developed the base knowledge to have the same conversation that we're about to have or to understand what we're about to say the way we mean to say it. Okay? So it's part of the reason why the Guardian Academy is tiered. Where as you climb the tiers, in theory, if you do the work, you're developing some of the same base knowledge so that we can communicate more effectively as we go on. Okay? We can get closer and closer to actually communicating what we mean to communicate. Hope that makes sense. So unless it's been stated explicitly, here's the assumptions that we're making. You're going to hear me say all the time, I'm making the assumption that XYZ, and then continue on with the content. If that assumption is not true, then those accompaniments are not there, and you are not going to hear what I'm trying to communicate. Okay? So again, you'll see rocky road, or you'll see tap, tap, tap in conversations in the Discord, on video, on calls. This just means, by and large, I recognize I am not giving this crowd or these people the accompaniments or the base knowledge they need to have this conversation that I'm trying to have. There's nothing wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with me. It's just that the accompaniments are missing. Okay? So what's next? Leave the loop open. Journal about it. Think about the rocky road. Think about how often we think we're communicating effectively. And even though we've double-checked our communication, how much of that base knowledge did we acquire over time and through experience and through learning and our opinions that we take for granted that the other person may not have the same experience, same opinion, same perspective, same knowledge. Okay? Reflect on it, and then share your 6-word update. And when you share your 6-word update, go read the 6-word updates of others, and you're going to start seeing what I mean when we talk about this. Everybody that watches this video and posts this 6-word update heard the same words, but they all heard something different based on the accompaniments or the base knowledge that they are currently sitting with. Then you come back later, watch it again, it's going to mean something different to you. Again, double loop learning, okay? See you on the next one.